All right, we're gonna bring a nurse up here that's willing to speak. We're gonna keep her identity on the lowdown because it's scary, and I understand it, but she has a couple stories that we believe that you need to hear. And so just give a round of applause for having some courage to come.
I've been a nurse for 10 years. I'm gonna try to keep this short, but what I've experienced in the last 2 years over this COVID, I thought I was gonna die before just doing my job. I thought I was gonna lose my life. I was really scared to work in an ICU unit, but I finally decided that that's what I was gonna do because that's what I chose to do as a profession. I'm an unvaccinated nurse. I'm gonna go from I'm gonna tell you guys, I have done something very evil on the news. I had been sent to a vaccine clinic. I gave the vaccine to this lady. She had no underlying conditions. When I was about ready to let her leave, she was asking her the questions. She started tearing up. She started grabbing at her chest. She started being flaccid. That's where she starts losing muscle control and started sliding down her chair. I immediately called her back up. I checked her vital signs. Her heart rate was over 220. Usually it's a 60 to 100. This was administered. Her heart was having issues. I told you 13 minutes after receiving the first dose. We called back up. Somebody from the public called the news media. The news media came out. The director came out to that facility that I had never met before and told me to make it look good for the news. She told me to make sure I wore a face mask, an N95, a gown, goggles, the whole setup. She said, you're going to vaccinate another nurse, but you're going to use normal saline. At that moment, my heart broke. I'm like, what's going on in this world? Like, why am I a nurse? I'm a nurse because I am eyes for you guys. So the news media came out. My director watched me and watched every move that I made to the news and told me to be careful with what I said. I told the news media that I felt that it was the vaccine, but I didn't have a voice, and I knew that she was going to report something different than what I saw because all the months previous and up to that point, I had seen nothing what the news was saying was real. Oh gosh, I'm trying to breathe through this. Anyway, I waited for the news to come out. That night, they said nothing about this lady. They actually promoted the vaccine. I have had doctors tell me that my patient has died of COVID. I looked at the doctor and I said that they had cancer. That was cancer. Well, they had COVID. He kind of laughed. It had COVID 4 months ago.
Shame on them.
I've seen a nurse that tested herself 3 times. We've got access to COVID tests. We're not supposed to use them on ourselves. But we're questioning everything. She took the test 3 times. The first 2 were negative, the third one was a positive. I have seen people with 1 lung survive this COVID. I survived COVID. I've had it in my family periodically, different family members where no one else has gotten it. Any cold virus will show up on this test. So my cancer patients have survived it, multiple sclerosis, people that have been bedbound, people that are on renal failure. This is not going to kill you. That's my short spiel.
Thank you. I know that I've seen a couple people from the mainstream media here. I know that I've seen a couple people. I'm not going to point you out. If you do not report that story, you are an enemy to the United States of America.